What is it like to be the master of 5 maids? Not only can you command them to do anything, but you must also live together in daily life. These girls are all unfortunate individuals, taken in by the protagonist's grandmother during her lifetime, and now they have become her most important legacy. In order to reopen the coffee shop, the protagonist assigns a few of them to clean, but they claim that these chores were all done by the grandmother before. At this moment, the protagonist finally understands the reason for his grandmother's early passing. Even so, they made various excuses to shirk their responsibilities, with only Baiju taking the initiative to handle all the household chores. However, the protagonist did not feel comforted by this. Instead, he began to mock them sarcastically. The other 4, who were slacking off, found this tactic effective, but in the end, they only went through the motions, with Baiju being the only one seriously washing the dishes. That night, Baiju approached the protagonist, who was alone. He was very grateful for her speaking up for him during the day, and her pitiful appearance truly tugged at one's heartstrings. The protagonist looked at her and noticed her awkward way of addressing him, so he told her not to be so formal. Well, after this interaction, the protagonist's fondness for Baiju skyrocketed. Seizing the opportunity, she enthusiastically invited him to have a meal together, but the others continued to treat him poorly as always. Baiju not only spoke well of him, but also insisted that they were all one big family. Such unusual behavior naturally raised the suspicions of the other sisters. Looking at the 5 stunningly beautiful girls before him, the protagonist couldn't help but admire his grandmother's kindness. In order to restart the coffee shop, the protagonist decided to have the 5 of them practice first. Liu Xing was not optimistic about his skills, and Yinghua even started to criticize him before tasting the coffee. However, the protagonist appeared confident. It turned out that he had secretly learned from his grandmother for 2.5 years when he was young, and his skilled techniques surprised everyone. In the end, Baiju, playing the role of a waitress, served the coffee, and at that moment, the protagonist seemed to hear the praises from everyone. But in reality, he received unanimous negative feedback. However, the protagonist believed they were deliberately opposing him, and the usually aloof Hong Ye even came close to personally attacking him. So, while the others enjoyed dinner, he diligently studied how to make coffee, but no matter what he did, he couldn't replicate the taste of his grandmother's coffee. Suddenly, someone in the corner interrupted him. It was Hong Ye, who had harshly mocked him earlier. She slowly walked up to the protagonist and offered to make him a cup of coffee, which he had no fondness for. But he inexplicably took a sip, and to his surprise, it tasted just like his grandmother's coffee. Although he was reluctant, the protagonist still asked her to teach him. Seeing the shy yet proud protagonist, Hong Ye couldn't help but compliment him on being cute. After a night of deep conversation between the two, the protagonist finally made some progress. The next day, he invited Liu Xing to greet the neighbors, but Liu Xing thought he was trying to take the opportunity to go on a date, while the protagonist simply felt that Liu Xing was quite clever. The socially awkward protagonist almost drove up the price of the coffee beans. Seeing this, Liu Xing quickly used her feminine charm. After a bit of acting cute and playful, she managed to get the boss to offer a discount. Throughout the journey, the protagonist maintained a serious expression, relying on Liu Xing to help him greet people.